What is up, crew? Welcome to Seek the Edge podcast with me, Kelsey Lensman. And we have a special guest today. This is actually coming out on a different day than we normally do because I want to share not just this woman that is across from me, but the knowledge base that she has that I know many women listen to this as well as men, but the through line with this is we need to have self-defense skills. And that's something that hopefully, God forbid, we never have to use, but it's one of those skills that we need to have in our arsenal just in case something were to happen. And so today, I have Ashley Korcal, who is a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, a brown belt in Krav Maga, a certified strength and conditioning specialist, the founder of Ash K Fitness, and leads our self-defense classes here in Columbus, Ohio. And as I read her resume almost, you would think this woman is 6'5" and 250 pounds. She is what, 5'4",
5'4", and 125 pounds.
Soaking wet. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. And this was fitting because I was researching some statistics.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read these statistics, but as I saw them, my mouth about dropped. And then it made me reflect on certain circumstances in my life that, thank God, I've never had to use self-defense skills, but I know I've been looking over my shoulder. And I know there were certain circumstances where I had that gut feeling that I knew that I needed to go a different route or go a different way. And so to prep us into this, some statistics that mind blew me were 92% of women report being concerned for their safety while going for a run. That is over 9 out of 10 women. Over 80% of women report experiencing some form of street harassment in their lifetime, and 1 in 6 women alter their route, time of day, or clothing due to safety concerns.
Mm-hmm. It's true, and it really is. I mean, good thing they do alter that. I wish they did not have to.
Yeah.
But it is a scary world out there.
Yeah.
It's important to be aware of those surroundings.
It's crazy. So let's start here. How did you get into self-defense, and because when I read the purple belt in Jiu Jitsu, the brown belt in Krav Maga, that in of itself is mind-boggling. So let's go a glimpse into how you got started.
Yes, I never really intended on actually being into self-defense. I signed up for the gym kind of on a whim. I had been thinking about it for a long time. I think at some point every woman in their life goes, I should probably learn to defend myself a little bit. And I had been kind of pushed into that. I'd been told that I should do it, I should check it out, and kind of resisted for a really, really long time. But finally, I was like, I'm going to do it. And I went and I signed up and started showing up, and it was really scary at first. I remember sitting in my car for probably 20 minutes and just like, oh my God, am I going to do this? Oh my God, am I going to do this? But I finally plucked up the courage and I went inside and just had such a blast training. I had such a good time, and it wasn't as scary as I thought. So then I was like, okay, maybe I'll actually go back and try it again. And I went back and tried it again and again and again until I started coming up towards my first test. I had no inclination of testing, actually.
Is this jiu-jitsu or what is?
This is for Krav Maga. This is for like a basic, just normal self-defense class. I had no intention of testing. And the coach had come up to me and was like, by the way, the test is on this date. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, no, like, I want you to test on this date. And I was like, wait, what? And so it didn't even cross my mind that was something that I was capable of. But so then I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do that. And I started training for this test. And anytime you give me something like that, I get a lot more serious about it. So I started training for the test. And then all of a sudden, one of the coaches announced, they're like, by the way, next week, Ashley is starting jiu-jitsu. And I was like, wait, what? No, like, I did not want to do jiu-jitsu, but he announced it to the whole class. And so then I felt like I had to do jiu-jitsu. And that's what happened. And I got into jiu-jitsu, and I kind of just never looked back.
Wow. Can you give me a brief overview of Krav Maga jiu-jitsu? Because this can be foreign for many people.
Absolutely. So Krav Maga is going to be your basic skills for self-defense. It's a combination of striking, of grappling, of groundwork, kind of the down and dirty techniques of what's the littlest I can do and the most brutal thing I can do to get out of a situation. That's more or less what you're looking at. It does get a lot more complex than that as you go into higher levels, but the basics are the down and dirty self-defense techniques you need. Jiu-jitsu, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, is a martial art. It's around grappling. It's got a little judo in it. It's got some stand-up work. So you start standing up, you slap bump with your partner, you work on taking the other person down, and then it's grappling. So for people who don't know really what that is, the closest thing is probably going to be like a wrestling style. Is what you're going to think of, with the goal of winning a round by either a submission or by points, depending.
We're gonna circle back to the jiu-jitsu because I've many funny stories for myself personally, as you are the person that, Kelsey, try a jiu-jitsu class. And you're like, ooh, they're getting real up close and personal.
Yes, they are.
But I want to go back to when you said somebody invited you to the class and you felt this discomfort of, what am I doing? All of that. And I know even for me, as you invited me to the jiu-jitsu class, I mean, I'm in the fitness world. I've done a lot of different things, and I still was uncomfortable going in. So can you share with me what was going on in your brain and the discomfort and why you were uncomfortable? Because I feel like a lot of women would be like, yeah, I completely, like, I'm in her shoes there.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, well, one, it's a really heavy topic, right? If you hopefully you've never had something happen to yourself, but I almost guarantee there's somebody's name that you're thinking of right now who has had something happen. It's the reality of what we live in. So one, it's a really, really heavy topic, and there's a lot of emotional ties that are associated with that. And then two, I mean, you just don't know what to expect those first couple times. You think, or at least what I thought, is I was going to go in there and it was going to be all these really big, scary dudes. And it was going to be like an MMA, like in the ring, like all out.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
The bells are
like
going.
Someone's commentating, like, oh my gosh, what is happening to me right now? And so you just feel really overwhelmed, I think, by that idea, and you don't really know what to expect. I think that's the thing. A lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about self-defense in general and what that can look like. So it's scary from that perspective. But then when you get into the class, you see it's a lot different than what you're expecting. It's not all big, scary dudes. They're
like the nicest people.
They're
I was
like
like,
the
what?
nicest
This is different.
people. Yeah, there's a lot of women, a lot of different types of people, a lot of different body types. People from all different backgrounds a lot of times will come. And everybody who's there is just really there to help you out. So.
And I could see that. And this actually leads into where I want to start this, because as a woman, as a female, I know I went to Ohio State. And so I remember I would walk down High Street, which is the main street. And that's one of the places where I was looking over my shoulder. I was looking down the alleys. Who do I see? What's around me? And now, being a little bit further removed from that, I can go mama mode, especially with young girls. No, we're not touching those young girls. Like, don't mess with them. And this goes to the question of, why is it important for women to learn self-defense, and this be something that they don't just say, oh, I'll get to it eventually, but that they make it a priority now to focus on?
Absolutely. I mean, self-defense is a lot of things, right? Like, not only are you learning to protect yourself, protect your person, protect maybe your child, protect your sister, whatever it is, there is all of that is a component of it, and it's not something that we can put off because it's not something we can control any more than we can control a car accident in some instances. Now, that being said, there are things that we can do. We can choose not to walk down the dark, scary alley, right? Like, we can make choices to be a little safer, but like, it's not something we can always have that control over. The other side of it too, that a lot of people don't think about, is how much confidence you have and you gain from training, and how that can affect the rest of your life and those choices that you make. I think one of the greatest benefits of training in general is learning like what your body can take, and it's learning to pay attention to what's happening to you and around you. And then you take those skills and you apply them out in the real world, and it can affect everything about your day. The confidence that you have, the choices, the awareness, the being present with other people, and the respect you develop for yourself and your body.
Get me excited talking about it, because that last part of it, I know, because I've only done a few classes with self-defense. What you led with our community and then a few of them personally with jiu-jitsu. But even for me physically training in the gym, it wasn't just the byproduct of the body or even the byproduct of me gaining strength and, oh, I can lift 20 pounds when before I can only lift 10. It's the respect you develop, but then also you carry yourself a different way. And I remember back when I was in college and I started training, not that I ever think that I could take a 6'5", 250 pound person in front of me, but I walked a little bit more confidently.
Yes.
I walked a little bit more. My chest was up. My head was up. I wasn't trying to make myself smaller or shrunken in. And body language is incredibly important when it comes from potentially also being pursued for it. Not that it will deter everything.
Right.
So can we talk a little bit about body language?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you've seen be beneficial, but then also what you've seen be potentially red flags that women may not realize in how they're carrying themselves, or maybe they don't realize also even the body language that they're giving off in the perception of what could result from that.
Absolutely. I mean, so much of what we deal with as women is this pressure to, I mean, it's there, the pressure to be smaller, the pressure to be quiet, the pressure to not rock the boat, the pressure to be kind, be gentle, be all of these things, right? And the thing is a lot of times we try to do those and it does make us look like we're not confident. Right. It's challenging because a lot of times with self-defense, we really want there to be like one answer. And there's so many different scenarios that we could tackle in this situation. But for like what we're talking about here, where we're talking about potentially a stranger approaching you, a lot of times we're thinking about this person and the person that would come and attack somebody, they're not going to usually pick a fight that they think they can't win, right? Like if they're picking a fight with you, it's because they think they're going to be able to win this fight, right? And so a lot of times these, like, I'm going to look gentle, I'm going to look kind, you know, like this meek kind of appearance. Well, that person's looking at it like, yeah, I could take that. You know what I mean? And so when you train, a lot of times what we're looking for and what we're trying to gain is just to change the narrative, even a little bit. You know what I mean? If you do anything to fight back, if you have your head up, if you scream, if you yell no, whatever it is, you fight back, you hit, like scratch, bite, whatever it is, you're changing the narrative of what they expected. And that can go so far as to changing their mind about attacking. Oh, maybe this isn't such an easy target. Maybe I can't win this fight. Maybe this is a bad plan. And you can see that. You can look up videos where like all the woman does is start swinging her purse around and the person attacking her is like, whoa, okay, no, we're out. And they'll leave. So that body language is hugely important. That looking up, that being aware, not being buried in your cell phone. I hate noise canceling headphones. Those ones are always like, okay, let's be aware of our surroundings. Yeah. Let's listen to what's going on. Let's look around us. Let's listen to our body. Like if you're walking and you're going somewhere and you feel that feeling, I think everybody has felt that feeling, listen to it. Listen to it. This is that permission. This is that time that if you feel that feeling, do something different. Get yourself out of there. Go back. Get the Uber. If you're out $30 because you paid for an Uber, you're out $30 because you paid for an Uber. If you didn't get the Uber and something does happen, it's a lot bigger deal, right? So listening to your body and just being aware, all of that can make a huge difference.
You remind me of a story that I completely forgot until this moment. And it would have been last year because that's when I was training for the 100-miler race. And so I was running all the time. And I'm very self-aware of my surroundings. Like that car's there, that person's there. And I would only run with one earbud in. Or if not, my brother got me the not in the ear headphones, but like kind of around the ear so I could still hear my surroundings. But I remember I was running at this trail and then it started getting dark out. And I was like, I don't want to run at a trail in the middle of nowhere when it was getting dark. So I ran in my car, but I still had mileage to finish. So I went to my neighborhood to finish it. And thank God I live in what can seem as a safe neighborhood. And I'm very grateful for that. But as I was running, I was just doing certain loops and kind of going in and out of the sidewalks. And I remember running towards this one direction. I was like, oh, I noticed that van. I just noticed that van as it ran or drove by me. Yeah. And then the way that I was running, it kind of could do a loop and come around again, but they had to be intentional about coming around again.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't have gone that way unless they were trying to encounter me again.
Right.
And so I just noticed, okay, that van drove by me. And then as I kept running, I saw kind of in the corner of my eye that van coming up again.
Yeah.
And I said, you should not be coming
Right.
in my same direction twice. And it was just one of those moments, Ash, as you talked about that, is I could have so easily been not aware or thinking of the podcast that I'm listening to or the songs that I'm listening to or how much mileage I need to finish. But thank God, I think my mom trained me this way, be very observant of your surroundings. And so what happened is that van drove by, I looked to my left, which were all the houses. I saw somebody coming out of their driveway. I didn't know this person.
Yeah.
But I said, hey, I was like, can you by any chance walk me home or just walk me close to it? There's this van that I feel like was following me and I'm just a little bit nervous. And once again, I had to get out of my comfort zone to ask that person that is a complete stranger and potentially I could see many people, oh, I don't want to bother them. Oh, I don't want to, what if they're busy and going to do something? No, my safety might be in a line and I need to ask for help in that situation versus me just trying to run home and hate to break it to you, but that van is way faster than me running, you know? Exactly. And I just remember having this gut feeling of this is not good. And it was so interesting as I went and talked to that neighbor or that person coming out of their garage, that van automatically went to parallel park, like because they knew that I knew.
Yeah.
And once again, it couldn't have been anything, but it also could have been something. And that awareness of understanding my body and not just being self-aware, but me listening in of, oh, something's wrong here. So can you talk a little bit more in depth about what does it mean to listen to your body? What should they be trying to observe? What is that gut feeling? Just because many people, that can be a phrase that many people use.
Yes.
But they also might not be aware of, well, how do I discern? Is that a gut feeling or is that just my body freaking out? Like how would you describe that?
Well, the first thing I would say is like, you know, you said, how is that a gut feeling or is that just something my body is freaking out? One and the same.
Amen.
One and the same right there. So if you're feeling that, either one, if you're questioning it at all, there's your answer.
Come on.
There's your answer. You got to listen to that. And I mean, that gut feeling can feel like anything. For me, you know, a lot of times it'll be my stomach clench, right? Like I'll get a little tight or I'll start being like, oh man, that feeling you have when somebody is watching you and you feel your shoulders kind of draw up and you're like, okay, what's going on? That desire to look over your shoulder, that shallow breathing, right? A lot of those feelings that we get, those discomforts, maybe your hands start sweating. Any of that you feel, anything that makes you pause, anything that makes you slightly question, listen to it. Listen to it. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to have like a full freak out. It can be small. It can be small, and it is appropriate to stop and think about that, acknowledge it, and react to it. And that is really okay. That is really okay. It could be really small, and it could be nothing. But if it gets you home safe, that's what's going to matter. That's what's going to matter. I had a very similar experience, actually. And I'm so glad that I listened to that feeling because this was like, I don't know, I had to be early 20s. And I was walking and it was at a hotel and it was with my family at the time. So my parents were both there. This hotel, we booked it ahead of time. We were just driving through. We thought it would be fine. It was totally shady. It was a very scary place. So I'm walking down the hallway and I had to run back up to the front desk because they had messed up our rooms. And I went down there, and on my way down there, I saw this guy that was just really scary looking. He was just a big guy, and I just didn't get the right feeling. I was like, okay, I just acknowledged it. I went downstairs, and then I was heading back upstairs towards the room. On the way back upstairs towards the room, this time I saw the guy, and he wasn't just like off somewhere. He was in the hallway that I was going to be in. He was looking directly at me. And I started walking down the hallway, and I'm going, oh, my God. Like, what? Oh, no. Oh, no. And I start looking all around me and trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Do I keep going? Where am I at? And at just that moment, my dad opened the door to the hotel room. Like, this is like a long hallway. Like, we've all been in those hallways. He was all the way down the hallway. My dad was, but the guy was in the middle. During that time that I had been thinking about this, that guy had started walking directly towards me, like not even past, but coming towards me on that side. And I just go, Dad, hey, like as loud as I possibly could. That guy beelined to the opposite side of the hallway and ran away.
Oh,
and I mean, that's just how it is. You have to listen to those little signals. It don't have to be big, but like.
It's gut wrenching for me. Like,
it is.
Oh.
It is.
So let's say, thank God he got you out of that scenario and your dad opened the door. But let's say there was no dad to open the door. What
Absolutely.
would you advise somebody to do, or what's the best case scenario there?
Well, at that time, I hadn't started training. I really didn't know what to do. At the time, I probably was going to keep walking forward, which I think I was just very protected in that moment.
Yeah.
Because what I should have done was beeline myself straight back away, create as much space as I possibly could, or if I knew and I saw him coming towards me, just start screaming.
Use your voice.
Use your voice. Use your voice and get yourself out of there as quickly as you can. You cannot always run away, which is why you need to train. That's why we need those things. But if we can create space, if we can get out of the situation, if we can use our voice and deter, those are all going to be number one go-tos that we would choose right out the gate.
So what I'm hearing from you is overall, listen to your gut.
Yes.
Listen to your gut. And that doesn't just mean, yes, it can be a person coming in vicinity, and your body is more than just your physical body. You're like, this sounds a little woo, but this is true. Your energy fields are mixing up with one another. And so that feeling is not just you being crazy.
Yes.
It's giving you data that maybe you consciously can't understand, but subconsciously your body can feel. So number one, yes, it can be a person. And I heard this too, is it also can be an environment. Meaning if you walk in this house and you feel, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be here. Or, hey, maybe this isn't the best place for me. Listen to your body and don't try to just pretend like it's okay. And I think as women, we really need to hear that, is it's okay, and be the oddball out and saying, no, I'm not going to that party, and go home. Or, hey, you know what? Yeah, you guys can go on, and I'm going to go a different, not necessarily different direction, meaning walk by yourself, but making a different decision.
Yes.
That's just so important.
It really is. And what it really comes down to a lot of times is the fact is that you matter. You matter. You as a person matter. And it's, a lot of times like we see this in training and, women come in and they're like, I don't think I could actually hit somebody. I don't know that I could hit them in the face. But if they came after my child, man, I'd go crazy on them. And you have to get to this point where you realize that it's not just your child that matters. You matter to your child. It's not just your sister that you want to protect that matters. It's not just your best friend that you want to protect that matters, but you matter. And you have to be able to stand up for yourself too, because those people need you in their life, And so accepting that you matter and that what your body is telling you matters and is important is a game changer when it comes to these kinds of things.
I love that you took it there. I did not know that you were going to pull that piece of it in, but that is so true. And that you deserve to use your voice. You deserve to fight back. And it reminds me, I worked with a charity a lot called Ruling Our Experiences, and they do a lot of programs in schools for young girls, developing confidence, and you're familiar with that as well. And whenever I go in to speak to these young girls, I'm like, what's your favorite rocks lesson that you like? And they're like, self-defense. And it's the lesson that they learn to use their voice. And it's the lesson that they learn to actually fight back to some capacity. And they're just hitting these pads. But it's almost like them stepping into actually using their voice. Their loud, from your belly voice for the first time. And many of them, as they would share it with me, I was like so nervous too. Like I was really timid, and then they did it, and it was so liberating.
It is.
So can you talk briefly about using your voice, especially in those scenarios? What do you say? What advice would you give?
I mean, so with this one, the biggest thing, as opposed to like what you would say, is just to practice it. To practice it. I don't care if you're in your car and you have to be by yourself and just start screaming, even if it's unintelligible, right? Like just be loud and just say whatever needs to be said. No, 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 no. No, get away from me. Stop. Whatever it is, whatever language ends up coming out of you. It's actually funny that you mentioned that because I actually just did this with my daughter.
Amazing.
She is 9, and in 4th grade, this past like week or two, they did a lesson on abuse at the schools. I think every school has this happen where they have someone come in and they talk about like how to report, how to say no, make sure, this should not be happening, just to like bring awareness to it, which is lovely. It's wonderful. I'm so glad they do that. But then I got in the car and I said, okay, well, tell me some of the things that they talked about. And she said, well, if someone does this or that, or, whatever it was. And I said, well, okay, so if you get in that situation, what do you do about it? And she goes, you say no. I'm like, do you say no? And she goes, you yell it? And I go, yeah. And I go, what does that sound like? And she goes, no. And like that loud. And I'm like, is that really how you would yell it? She's like, well, no. And I go, how would you yell it? And then she got a little louder. And we went back and forth on this until she was in the car screaming at the top of her lungs. And you could just see her like, she was so excited at the end. And you could tell like she felt so much better. But I think that's important. And I think, you can't necessarily script it for somebody else per se. If I'm going to give you a script, I'm going to tell you to start screaming, no, stop that, and get away from me, right? But whatever it is for you, not only have it ready, but practice it. Practice it. Because those classes that we do where we do yell are some of the hardest ones, actually. They're some of the most emotional. They're the ones where a lot of times we end up crying because it brings out so much. But they're so empowering and they make such a difference.
That is exactly what I was going to say after that, is just like your daughter, we can say no. Even me, I'm like, ooh, saying no that loud. There's this level of discomfort because I just don't have the reps in doing it. And so just like anything, the more you do a bicep curl, the more confident you are in doing the bicep curl. Right. But that first time you're like, ooh, is this right? Where's my elbow? Where's my positioning? And it can feel really uncomfortable. And that's exactly what I was going to say as you shared that story, is this is why, and this is going to be a little plug, but this is why we and you lead the self-defense classes, because we need repetitions in this. This isn't just let's listen to a podcast and let's hopefully, God forbid, in a scenario, I can think back to, well, what did Ashley tell me to do? And then your brain's not processing that quick. It's going to go back to what's the quickest form of training that I've had. And if that's nothing, yes, you can still step up to that occasion, but your brain's also going to go back to what you've done before.
Yes.
And that's why it's just so important. And it reminds me, Ash, I don't know how much experience or how much understanding you have with this, but our body can go into that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And so can you share a little bit about those responses, and not fully in depth with it, but because some people get in that scenario and they freeze.
Yes.
Some people get in that scenario and they want to run. Some people get in that scenario and they just don't, like, they have no fight back in them.
Yes.
So have you seen
that?
A
lot of times we get really overwhelmed and we do get that freeze mode, and a lot of times we don't know what we're doing, and it kind of goes all over the place. That kind of comes back to one of the reasons it's so important to start training. Yeah. Because a big part of training is to put yourself in a slightly stressful situation so that you can learn to manage that response and learn what your response is and how to do it. So, like, I mean, right off the bat, like right now, like one of the things you could do is like, what I hope happens at the end of this podcast, like people who are listening right now, if you turn off the podcast, my hope right now is you just start screaming.
I'm going to do that driving home from this podcast.
Please do. Like, get it? Like, if you're, especially like you're in your car and you're somewhere, like, please don't maybe do this in public. But like, if you're in your car or you're somewhere and you're home safe, like get off this podcast and just start screaming as loud as you can and scream no and see how that feels in your body. See how that feels. Try it out. But like, when you come to class and when you come to any kind of self-defense training, you're already putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, and you're teaching yourself little by little to manage that stress and manage that response. And that's such a huge thing. That's such a huge component. Like, we did that at the end of our first self-defense, our first self-defense seminar back in October, right? We finished the thing. We had a series of skills and techniques that we did, and then we all went and we took turns standing in the middle of the room. You closed your eyes, which added a little more stress, and then you had to go through and rep out what we had just been practicing, right? And it makes it so much more intense, but you learn a little bit more each time how to manage that response. I think another thing that people need to remember too is that a lot of times when we're in those situations, our fine motor skills just shut down and we don't have access to a lot of the things that we think we're going to have access to, which is why we need to focus on those big movements when it comes to these scary situations. Like a lot of times people are like, oh, it's okay. If that happens to me, I'll pull out my weapon and I'll do something. Or, I'll get my phone out, I'll turn it on, and then I'll dial 911. But the reality is that your body is not going to allow you to do that in those moments. And so we need to be thinking about, like, what are things and protections and things we can put in place, like getting your phone out and being able to emergency dial 911. Like, practice that. There is a little button at the end that you can cancel it right before, but like that should be something in your back pocket that if you've never done that before, do it today. Start practicing that.
What would you say then to moms or families out there? What are some things they can start doing maybe with their kids to not scare them into this, but create more awareness within their family or help train their responses? Is there anything that you've done? Yes, the no with your daughter, but anything else either you've talked about or have worked with her with?
Well, I mean, in general, start training for one thing. Start training. That's always a great way. And I mean, like when I say start training, you don't have to find the most perfect place in the world to, go. We do have some really great options here in Columbus if you're local, but like wherever you're at, find something that sounds interesting to you and start getting into it and get your kids into it. There's a million martial arts programs out there and they develop confidence and they teach you skills at the same time, like how to hit or how to grapple or how to do these things. And then, a lot of times, like, we go over with kids, okay, if there's a house fire, what do we do? If there's this, and I mean, like, you can do the same thing. Kids, a lot of times these days, are very used to that. So it's not any different than what they're already seeing at school and already hearing about. So I think sometimes we're afraid of it unnecessarily because kids already know. Kids already know. They've already been exposed to so much. And then things like we said too, like practice the screaming, practice the yelling. In households where, you're kind of wrestling around and playing around, that stuff's all great. Keep that up. Teach how to defend yourself, how to make space. I do that with my daughter too, is we'll be playing and I'll be trying to tickle her and she's got to get her feet in between us.
I remember that from Jiu Jitsu.
She's got to get her feet in between us so she can push me off of her.
That's
and
good.
get that. And you know what I mean? Like she has so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
Like she's requests it sometimes and she's like, try it.
Yes, I love it. If I was your kid, I'd be the most equipped woman ever. Nobody mess with me now.
I was laughing the other week because she was at the gym with the owner of the gym, his little girl, who is like surrounded, like enmeshed and all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they get out some of the weapon, like the fake weapons, like the laser gun that's there. And Lizzie just picks it up, and his daughter comes and like grabs it and points it at the ground. So it's not
good
aiming at
for
anybody.
her. Oh my gosh.
So funny. It made me laugh.
Well, it reminds me of the quote that is not quote necessarily, but the thought process that confidence is breeded from preparation. That preparation breeds confidence. That's the one that I wanted to say. And that confidence will be gained as you prepare yourself more. And like we talked about, it's not just from listening or reading, but from doing.
Yes.
And that is the training. That is the go to a self-defense class. That is the practice it at home. And the more confident you will get from that, then when it comes, God forbid, a real life scenario, you will revert back to those skills. But we need those skill sets first to then be able to respond to that.
Absolutely. And I mean, the reality too is, like I said, there's a million different things you can do.
Right.
So a lot of times people will tell you self-defense is specific. You have to do this, 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 and that. And the reality is it doesn't work that way. Self-defense is so much more conceptual.
Yeah.
Self-defense is a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this. And each martial art or each thing that you join will have a slightly different answer to the problem, and there's ways to apply it. in all kinds of different situations. And so, like, when you're looking and when you're talking about self-defense, anybody who says, do these things exactly, here's the perfect answer, they are lying. That is a red flag. That is a red flag. There is no perfect answer. If it sounds fun to you to go box, learn how to hit, take the confidence from that. If you feel like you want to do grappling, join jiu-jitsu, go do it. You will gain so much out of it. The reality is like, best case scenario is you need a little bit of everything, but best case scenario is you adapt the mindset that you learn how to adjust to a situation while it's happening.
Come on now.
And so, it's a little bit of everything. It's never going to be perfect. There's never going to be a perfect answer. I always think it's funny, like so many people detail out a specific situation for me and want to know what the answer is. But there's just so many different ways that it can go. Ultimately, the answer is whatever it is you do that gets you home safe.
Amen.
Is the perfect answer.
So I could talk to you about this because I have so much to learn in this arena. So much to learn. But if women were to take two things away, either from this podcast or that you would want them to know about self-defense or defending themselves, what would be those two things?
One, you're capable. You are capable. You can do it. There are things that you can do that make a difference and you matter. So it is worth doing. It is worth figuring out what that is. Two, go train. Go train. Go do something. Find something that works for you, works for your life, and works for your body, and go do it. It'll be the best thing you've ever done for yourself.
And I know that because a lot of women went to the first self-defense class. They're like, when's your next one? So I am going to plug this one because this will come out on Monday, is we do have the second one, the women's self-defense. And it is March 15th, which is a Sunday, from 12 to 2 here in Columbus, Ohio. And for those that are like, okay, Ash, I hear you. Like, let's get in an environment where I can learn. Actually, go on expandyourlimit.com/events, and you will see that will be the next one that you can grab on. We have 25 spots maximum with it. So that's something that you definitely want to grab earlier than later. And what our specifics is grappling.
Yeah, that was the plan this week, or this time around, is talking about, what do we do if somebody tries to grab a hold of us?
Yeah.
What do you do if somebody's trying to grab you? And how to approach that, some basic technique strikes that we can use, and some basic grappling, wrestling type skills to get yourself some space and get out.
I'm excited for it. I'll be like, ooh, that'll be good. So for those that want to come, for those that also have friends maybe in this area that you would recommend sending this to them, please share this because it could genuinely save a life. Like I don't mean that lightly. Skills like these can save a life, and these are incredibly important. And so, Ash, for those that want to get to know you better or ask you a question, where can they find you at? Where can they follow you? Anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, AshK, fit, or ashk.fitness. Is where you can find me there. My website as well will be attached on there. I'm sure we'll put all of that on the podcast. That'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Find me on there. If you have questions, don't be afraid to reach out. Yeah. I love it. I'll get DMs and there and send it, whatever it is you want to know about, whatever you want to clarify or ask, send that my way. And I will be more than happy to talk with you personally about those questions.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being the woman to lead first in this arena that I look to you of, hey, I'm not teaching this, you teach it, but also it takes somebody that is willing to learn the lessons, learn the skill sets, and then be able to give that to other women and people. So thank you for just doing the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be able to do it. Yeah. And if I can do it, believe me, you can too.
Yeah. She kicks my butt in jiu-jitsu. I got probably 40 pounds on you, and she just submits me every time. I'm like, all right, this is great. But everybody, thank you for taking time. Please share this with a friend. This is an episode that is not just about listening to a mindset thing that can be beneficial. This genuinely is something that could save a life. And so please share that with a family member, a friend, send it to your girls group chat, because these are skill sets that we hopefully will never have to use, but we all have to need and have in our back pocket with it. So as always, seek the edge of your comfort zone. Listen to your body. As Ashley said, it will tell you when you need to say no or get out of a situation. And at the end of the day, as Ash said also, is you matter. You deserve it and you matter. And it's up to us also to fend for that at times. All right, guys, have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.